In almost every police department, there's a place where cold homicide cases gather dust. Each box contains unfinished business, evidence, interviews, in its very own murder book. These cases aren't dead, but sleeping. Each one waiting for new leads and a cop to dig out the truth and finally bring a killer to justice. In coastal Washington, a gravel logging road slices a gash through picturesque forest. It was built to make it easy to haul away big trees. But the secluded road also made it easy for one man to do his dirty work undetected. And it would take almost a decade for a dedicated cop to unravel the twisted trail of death that started here. Detective Lane Yman's beat is Grays Harbor County, Washington. He's a straight arrow with a passion for the science of crime scene investigation. Yeomans lives by the motto, you gotta collect the dots before you can connect the dots.
Most of my experience came from on-the-job training, going to crime scenes, learning. I also spent a great deal of time reading about techniques, and I'll remember that we have similar evidence, and so I'll try to process it using that new technique.
Lane Yeoman's the type of detective that if your family or friend were the victim of a crime, you would want him to be the lead investigator. He never, ever gives up.
In his nearly 20 years as a detective, he's closed every homicide he's worked on, but one.
The murder book was begun the day that I got the call that a body had been found on Waco Hall Road. Whenever I get to a crime scene, the first thing I do is just stand there and take in all the details. I don't want to start thinking that it's a homicide or a suicide or an accident until I look at what's there, document the scene, and then reach my own conclusion.
But it's clear this one's a homicide.
The female sustained massive injuries to her upper body.
The victim is about 30, wearing a top, one shoe, one sock, and not much else.
One thing I noted that seemed unusual, she was wearing panties, but they were rolled inward as though she had pulled them up quickly.
The image that will always be in my mind is the image of tire tread on her chest and neck.
The ground is soft. Makes it easy to read the story of a car that became a murder weapon.
As I walked down the road, I could see her footprints running from side to side, and the tire tracks were following her. There were a number of articles of clothing.
As Yeomans processes the scene, the jumble of clues along that logging road come together in his head like a terrifying scene in a movie.
This was a sexual assault. Something happened where she was trying to get away while she was carrying her clothing.
The underwear rolled inward as if she were in a hurry to get them back on. The sweatpants dropped on the road, the missing shoe and sock. Everything ditched behind as the footprints get farther apart. The car is closing in.
And the vehicle was tracking her until it made contact and knocked her down. The victim was lying on her back. The vehicle had driven over her. had backed up and then driven over her a third time. It became obvious to me that this was personal, this was definite overkill. I had not seen this level of violence on a homicide.
Detectives make plaster casts of the tire tracks. Yeomans recovers a woman's purse nearby. Inside, a comb, a compact, a winning lottery ticket worth $2. There's an envelope marked rent filled with cash. The biggest find, a beat-up brown wallet with an ID for Elaine McCullum.
I need to run a check on Elaine Marie McCullum.
Detective, we actually have a missing persons file on her. Her boyfriend called in this morning. His name's Dave Capfield.
A boyfriend is a good place to start any police investigation.
Most of the homicides we investigate are domestic violence related. Many of them are fueled by alcohol or drugs. Very seldom do we get anything that's predatory or where the suspect is unknown to the victim.
I'm truly very sorry.
She said it was her lucky day because she won this lottery ticket.
Desperate to help detectives, David tells them everything he knows about Elaine's past. Elaine was a baby boomer, born and raised in Aberdeen, Washington.
There's no daylight. There's no warmth.
She'd never traveled more than a few miles outside the county. She's a little fish in a little pond and never even makes the tiniest splash.
Everything that I knew changes so soon.
And once she graduates high school, Elaine is just another hapless, hopeless gal living on the margins. In 1991, just before her death, Elaine McCullum is 33, and she's finally getting her life together. That's when she falls in love with David Capfield and moves in with him. David has health issues. Elaine is good at taking care of him. It gives her confidence.
I love you.
I love you more.
Are you able to tell me where she was the last time you saw her?
I was gonna go with her, but I didn't.
Go with her where?
David said Elaine planned to have drinks with friends. He stayed home because he wasn't feeling well.
I might be out late. Don't wait up. You need a good rest, okay?
Okay. Be safe, hon. I love you.
I love you too. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Elaine hitches a ride downtown. She has to. The couple has no money and no wheels. That was the last time David saw her.
She was a great woman. I don't know why anybody would want to kill her.
When police look into David Capfield's story, it checks out. He's not Elaine's killer. The day after the murder, Lane Yman is downtown trying to put together a timeline for Elaine McCullum's final hours.
What can you tell me about the last time you saw her?
She was waiting for her friend, Brian, to come pick her up.
Brian is Brian Truford, someone Detective Yeomans knows well.
Hey, can we get some shots? Let's have fun. This is fun, right? Woo! That's what I'm talking about. You ladies.
Truford is a town bad boy and the son of one of Aberdeen's richest families.
We actually had our first kiss at the bar.
Brian.
He's a raging alcoholic who knows the inside of the county drunk tank like the back of his hand. He's a disgrace to his family.
You guys need more drinks because you're really tense.
But the life of the party among Aberdeen's barflies.
Can we get 3 hot shots over here?
Elaine is part of Brian's crowd. He's generous and can usually be counted on to give her a ride home at the end of the night.
Drinks on me. You need any more? Talk to my man right here. You're welcome.
But the night Elaine was murdered, Truford left her in the lurch.
We were together like an hour ago, and then he split. Pretty pissed. Wanna go for a cigarette?
Yeah.
Let's go.
They went to the street, and at that time there were two vehicles that pulled up. The woman didn't see which one that Elaine got into, and she was then gone.
One of the cars is Truford's, so that's the first trail Detective Yeomans follows. Especially since the town's already buzzing with rumors about Brian's guilt.
We were getting a lot of calls at the sheriff's department from people saying that they suspected he had killed Elaine McCullum. It was apparent that if we voted on who killed Elaine, then he would be convicted.
But rumors don't get killers locked up. Evidence does. So Yeomans combs through the murder book looking for anything that might tie Brian Truford and his car to that gruesome scene on the logging road. Something he can use to catch the bad boy in his own lies.
So, Brian, you were at the Smoke Shop Tavern with Elaine?
Yeah?
Did you see her later that night?
No. My friend showed up, and then I bailed. We drove to his place. I had a couple drinks and passed out.
You stayed all night?
Yes.
You can verify that.
Yes.
Did anyone else see you?
No, man. No one else seen me. Same questions over and over again.
No one else saw you?
Saw me, yes. English professor. I thought you're a detective.
If you want to be treated like a big boy, maybe you should talk like one.
He said that he had gone to a friend's house and passed out. We spoke with the friends and they confirmed that. We had investigators look over his car for physical evidence. We found nothing that could tie him in with the murder.
In an instant, their best lead turns into a dead end. Weeks of interviews follow, and Lane Yman fills Elaine McCullum's murder book with every detail about her life and her death, and absolutely nothing about who did it. No more tips come in, and Detective Yeomans has little to go on. But his scientific mind turns back to the evidence collected at the murder scene. He starts with Elaine's clothes.
With a black light, I saw in her panties that there appeared to be a semen stain. The panties were sent to the State Patrol Crime Lab, where back in 1991 they could only do ABO blood typing. They were able to tell us that her boyfriend's blood type was found and there was semen present from an unknown subject.
This tells Yeomans two things. His hunch that Elaine was sexually assaulted is dead on, and it wasn't her boyfriend who did it. But that's as far as he can go right now. But the detective has been reading up on the FBI's early experiments with DNA typing, and he talks the feds into testing Elaine's underwear.
Yeomans.
While he waits for those results, a lot of good detective work goes into trying to track down the killer another way, through the tire tracks his car left behind.
We took 3 plaster cast impressions of the tire tracks that we found in the mud. From those, I drew a sketch so we could take that picture of the tire tracks.
I wanted to ask if you had this tire tread in your shop.
Try to identify the brand of the tire and maybe who purchased those tires, because the tires appeared to be new and they were all the same tread pattern.
Yeah, I knew we had it. That's it right there.
We were able to determine that the tires were identified as classic premium tires that were sold only from a Les Schwab tire dealer.
We obtained a list of the people who had purchased that tire locally. There was a list of 213 customers.
Based on measurements taken at the crime scene, detectives know the axle width of the murderer's car. They take that measurement and the list of 213 customers and track down every one of them to see whose car matches the killer's.
Once they went through the list, they had about 12 vehicles that were potential matches. The detectives went out and looked at those vehicles and excluded all of them.
Several months later, the DNA lab results come back on the semen found in Elaine's underwear. The detective now has a genetic profile of the killer. But with a limited database of offenders to match it to, the test is of little value.
Shortly after that, the case went cold. We were not hearing any rumors. A lot of times people will get drunk and start talking. There was nothing. I was afraid that this may have been committed by someone who was not from the area, that was just passing through, and they've moved on. And so the chances may be slim that we would ever find out who did it. I took a copy of Elaine's driver's license and posted it up on the wall above my desk, just so I could see her every day and know that we needed to find out who murdered her.
Other cases come, other murders are solved. But 5 years go by before Lane Yman has a tragic reason to reopen Elaine McCullum's murder book. Just a stone's throw from where Elaine McCullum was found, Lane Yman sees the body of another victim.
My first thought was this was the second homicide of a female on a logging road that's 1.5 miles long in a county of 1,900 square miles. What are the odds of this being caused by someone other than our suspect on the Elaine McCullum homicide?
It's a terrifying thought. A cold-blooded killer who keeps coming back to this spot when he wants to get away with murder. But this time, instead of a car, he used a knife.
Her throat was cut. She had stab wounds on her face, on her neck, on her chest, and in her vaginal area.
You could see that this was someone who stabbed his victim more and more and more, far more than would have been necessary just to cause her death.
This time the road is dry, so the killer's footprints and tire treads don't leave impressions.
About 0.3 of a mile away, I found a condom. I could tell the condom had been used, that there appeared to be semen inside.
There's also several crumpled fast food napkins nearby.
There was no dust on these items, indicating that they'd only been out there a short period of time.
As Yeoman stares at the scene, that projector in his head cranks to life. It plays out like a horrifying sequel to Elaine McCullum's murder.
Screw you. Let go! Let me go!
After it was over, she was left there, just like Elaine McCullum, on the side of the logging road.
Everyone at the scene that day believed that if we solved this homicide, we'd be solving 2 homicides.
No purse, no ID, no name for the murder book. It's labeled Jane Doe. This time, the killing on the logging road makes the front page of the paper. When a friend sees the story, she calls the police. Jane Doe's name is Carol Layton.
You know, the key to the suspect development is through the victim. And in order to do our jobs, we need to learn as much as we can about her. Finding out who her associates are, where she worked, did she have a job, you know, what about her life would have put her with someone at that location at the time of her death.
Carol grew up in a suburb of Phoenix. But sunshine and swimming pools were very far from her reality. When she's 10, a relative is sent to prison after molesting her. When he gets out 3 years later, Carol goes into foster care. During her teens, she's placed in 5 different homes. When she turns 17, Carol gets as far away as she can. She moves north, marries and divorces twice before she's 25. Her emotional pain is bottomless. Pot helps take the edge off. Heroin helps more. By the time she's 40, she's a full-blown addict.
She had to turn to prostitution in order to feed her habit.
Carol had been seen working the streets of Aberdeen the night she was murdered.
She was known to carry a knife for protection. She also had a bad habit of ripping off her johns. Carol may have stolen something from the suspect.
Yeomans believes Carol's own knife was the murder weapon.
Suddenly, the suspect realized that he was missing his wallet. He then used the knife against her, cutting her throat, and then stabbing her repeatedly until she was dead.
The portrait of a serial killer is emerging. A man hell-bent on sexual assault who kills in a rage with whatever weapon he has at his disposal. A car, a knife, an isolated road.
But there were similarities other than the location that the bodies were found. They were last seen in the same general area. They led somewhat similar lifestyle patterns, so we believed that this was probably the work of the same killer.
The problem is, detectives don't have much evidence to work with. On Elaine McCullum's case, all Yeomans has is DNA that matches no one, and tire tracks he can't pin to any car. He's not doing much better with Carol Layton's case.
The condom and napkins were sent to the Washington State Patrol Crime Lab. They were able to find a DNA profile of the suspect. They ran it against the CODIS DNA database, but there was no match.
The timeline is troubling too. If both women were killed by the same man, why the 5-year difference?
Was it because the person was out of circulation for 5 years? Were they incarcerated for some unrelated crime? You know, was it somebody who only passes through here on a very rare occasion?
Yeomans takes Elaine's murder book and starts cross-checking it against Carol's, hoping to find some link, some explanation for why one man would kill both women.
We spend a lot of time going over reports, going over statements, reanalyzing evidence, and it's really frustrating when there's just nothing coming in for us to track down.
So Yeomans turns to the feds.
I asked the FBI Behavioral Sciences Unit to take a look at the 2 cases to see if they could tell us what type of suspect we're looking for.
Yeomans.
The FBI comes back with very unexpected results.
I was amazed when I got that report. They didn't feel that the cases were connected due to the fact that there was 5 years difference between the homicides and that the victims were killed using different methods. I couldn't help but feel that there had to be a connection.
But it's hard for a cop to go with his gut when he's run out of options. Within 2 months, Carol's murder book is as cold as Elaine's.
When a case goes cold, it's a very sickening feeling as a law enforcement officer because you feel like you're failing the victim's family, and more importantly, that this person, whoever did this, is still in your community.
After the leads dried up, I took Carol Layton's photograph and put it on my wall above my desk right next to Elaine McCullum's photo.
The cases work on him like an itch he can't scratch. That's when the story takes an unexpected turn. Lane Yman, a level-headed detective who believes in hard evidence and concrete facts, suddenly finds himself face to face with the inexplicable.
For some reason, and I can't explain why, I would see Carol Layton's face looking back at me. I didn't tell anyone about it, but I felt even more determined to try to find out who murdered her and bring her some justice.
But the Logging Road murders aren't the only crimes on Yeoman's plate.
We're a small department and handle everything from bad checks to homicides. At any one time, I would have 25 cases that I would be working on.
But Yeoman's never forgets that Elaine and Carol's murder books are still open. Three years pass. Then on March 17th, 1999, there's another shocking crime at a dairy farm on the eastern edge of the county.
I got a call from dispatch telling me that a woman had been beaten with a hammer.
You were the one who found her?
Yes, I'm Eugene Clark, the dairy farmer.
Where did you find her?
I found her behind that cart and followed the blood trail.
Eugene Clark tells Detective Yeomans that at about 10 p.m. the night before, he went to the barn looking for Frankie Cochran, one of the milkers on the night shift.
Frankie! Oh my God. Frankie, oh my God. What happened?
Be careful. He has a hammer.
Who's got a hammer?
Frankie Cochran has already been transported to the hospital in critical condition. The entire right side of her skull has been crushed.
There was a very good chance that she would not survive the injuries. So we were treating this as a homicide scene.
There's something about it that doesn't sit right with Yeomans.
Shadows in the night, always running from the light.
As I'm standing there and I'm looking at the blood spatter that's on the walls and on the floor, suddenly started shaking, and it was like an epiphany. I had seen this level of violence before. I felt like I was looking at the body of Carol Layton and Elaine McCullum. I just knew in my gut that these three cases had to be connected.
With one tremendous difference. Against all odds, Frankie Cochran does not die.
It's okay. You're safe. You're in the hospital. Do you remember anything that happened to you? It's okay.
I was at work in the barn, and I opened the door, and he was just standing there with a hammer.
Who was standing there?
My ex-boyfriend, David Gerard.
Now detectives have the name of the man who tried to kill Frankie Cochran, David Gerard. Lane Yman is convinced he's the same man who killed Elaine and Carol on that remote logging road. Police arrest him and bring him down to the station.
How you doing, David?
I'm okay, I guess. I don't know why I'm here.
David Gerard has a blue-collar look about him. 6 feet tall, 6'1", maybe 225 pounds.
He is very mild-mannered. He has a somewhat effeminate voice, very non-aggressive, totally without affect. He shows very little emotion at all.
The only thing that really stands out about him is the stare. He has that 10-mile stare. You never know what he's really thinking.
Gerard says he had nothing to do with Frankie's attack.
I was out of town,
Where were you exactly?
driving around the loop.
The Loop is a popular scenic road along the coast. Gerard could have been out driving it, except for one minor detail. There'd been a landslide on the Loop that closed the road on the night of the attack.
When that evidence was presented to him, he would not change his story. He said, well, that's what I did. And then he would just go into a 10-mile stare and bore a hole right through you.
You fancy yourself kind of clever.
Maybe. Anything yet, officer?
Nothing yet, Detective.
Detectives get a search warrant for Gerard's home and his car.
Rick, what do you got?
It's pretty clean.
This place is cleaner than it has any right to be.
No blood and no weapon means Gerard's already way ahead of them. So they'll have to cast their net wider looking for evidence. After days of combing Gerard's neighborhood, they finally find some.
Prior to the attack, Frankie Cochran had stopped by a small mini-mart on her way to work. And when we looked at the surveillance footage, we saw that moments after her leaving, David Gerard walked into the store. He was wearing a different outfit than what he was wearing when he was arrested by the sheriff's department. And so that told us that after the assault, he had changed his clothes and discarded them somewhere along with the hammer.
But the tape is just circumstantial, not physical evidence. So Lane switches gears. He focuses on preparing for his first meeting with Gerard, thinking 3 moves ahead like a chess master.
I wanted to find out more about Gerard. I wanted to find out about his background. I knew eventually that I would be questioning him regarding these unsolved homicides.
He knows just who to talk to.
Miss Cochran, I need you to tell me about Dave.
I didn't think you could go this far.
David's only been her boyfriend for a year, but in that time, she's learned a lot about his past. David Gerard grows up unsettled, aggressive, and filled with rage. He hates his parents, especially his mother, who gets in her licks with a cast iron skillet. He drops out of school in the 8th grade. He's on his own the day he turns 18. He goes from menial job to menial job and a string of short-term girlfriends.
Coffee?
Thank you.
Then in 1998, when he's 36 years old, he meets 31-year-old Frankie Cochran.
Just there was something about him too. His big, bright blue eyes, what I was attracted to mostly. You know, he has beautiful eyes for a man.
It's only a few weeks before Frankie and Gerard decide to move in together.
In the very beginning, you know, he was very nice. He was very lovable. Everybody liked him. But after a little while, it just wasn't fun no more. Things kind of started getting really weird.
Hey, I'm home.
I want you home when I come home.
But I have a job.
Quit it.
I have to go to work.
Quit it! Quit it now, or you'll be sorry.
Okay. Okay, Dave. Whatever you want.
Hey, Frankie.
Hey!
Here's your paycheck.
The only reason Gerard lets Frankie work at the dairy is because he already works there himself. And he can keep an eye on her.
Don't spend it all in one place, all right?
Okay.
All right.
Every day, David finds some new excuse to fly into a jealous rage.
There was one incident where he took everything she owned out in the yard and poured bleach all over it.
Frankie's not clear why she stayed for close to a year. Maybe she thought she could fix him, make up for his rotten life, and put some purpose in hers. But when she finally decides she's had enough, she's gone in a flash.
And I cleaned everything I owned out. And then I had to go to work.
But before Frankie could even start her shift that night,
David. David. David!
So he broke my hand, he crushed my eye socket, broke my jaw, cracked my skull in half. I remember him dragging me by my ankles or whatever, and I thought, okay, how are you gonna get out of this?
Frankie realizes the only way to survive is to play dead.
So I inhaled a deep breath, and I threw my head off to the left and laid it down onto the cement.
Lucky for her, Gerard falls for it.
He walked over me, and he walked through them doors and was gone. I remember hurting like hell. Every ounce of my body hurt. I mean, it felt like I was laying on a bed of nails, whatever that feels like, because I hurt everywhere.
And then the next thing I knew, my boss was calling my name.
It's okay, Miss Cochran. You rest, okay?
What Frankie didn't know is that David Gerard has a rap sheet 10 miles long.
We got battery, ex-girlfriend, not 2 years ago.
Yeomans finds domestic violence reports going back to the 80s that all conform to the same twisted pattern.
He cannot stand to have a woman stand up to him. He wants to control them, and when they do stand up to him, he explodes. Shut up! Like a volcano of rage, and he will use whatever is at hand to strike back at that woman. Alford plea is where the person does not admit guilt, but they know that they would be found guilty by a jury.
Gerard gets the maximum sentence of 37 years for attacking Frankie. That might look like justice to some cops, but not to Lane Yman's. He believes Gerard is the twisted psychopath who turned a pretty logging road into a killing field. In 2001, Yeomans reopens the murder books of Elaine McCullum and Carol Layton and inserts Gerard as suspect number 1.
I didn't tell anyone because I was afraid I was going to be wrong, but every spare moment I had, I would pull out these old case files. And the thing that concerns me about David Gerard is that he is a person who cannot stand to be bested by a female.
Shut up!
That he responds with violence.
Yeoman sees clearly how that rage could have reached a flashpoint if Elaine had fought off his sexual advances. And if Carol had agreed to sex, but then stole his wallet, as she was known to do. But Lane Yeomans needs direct physical evidence tying Gerard to Carol and Elaine. He does have unknown DNA from both murders, and with big advances in technology since the last time he submitted the samples, he thinks it's high time to send them off again. While he waits for results, Yeomans continues searching for that elusive connection. And after weeks of good old-fashioned detective work, he finds it, a smoke shop tavern. The place Elaine McCullum was last seen before she was murdered. Lane discovers that Carol had gone to the very same club on her last night as well. But since she couldn't afford the cover, she was turned away at the door. And guess who used to be the bouncer at the tavern? That's right, David Gerard, who was known to hang out there even after he left the job. It's likely he knew both Elaine and Carol, and they at least recognized him, so they didn't consider him a threat until it was too late. Page by page, Yeomans is building a case against Gerard. He returns to the murder books, back through the interviews, leads, license plate numbers, tires.
As I was going through the records for the people who purchased the Les Schwab tires, I found that David Gerard, in fact, was one of the 213 people that had bought those tires.
But thanks to an unbelievable coincidence, he was never questioned. In Grays Harbor County, population 70,000, there just happened to be 2 different David Gerards who bought tires at the exact same Les Schwab dealer at the exact same time.
There was one who had a post office box in Aberdeen and one that had an address in Montesano. The detective didn't check with the Aberdeen post office to get a physical address for the person who owned the post office box, and unfortunately missed that opportunity to contact the correct David Gerard.
So those tire tracks did belong to the David Gerard Yeomans believes is the killer. With that break, the evidence starts to pile up.
Humans, I got your results from the lab.
From Elaine's case, there's DNA from her boyfriend, David Capfield. And the once unknown subject is a positive match to none other than David Gerard. Then Yeomans looks at the second report from Carol Layton's crime scene. Somehow his eyes can't believe what he sees. It's a 580 trillion to 1 match.
I sat at my desk and I'm sure the color drained from my face. I couldn't believe it. I felt vindicated. I felt that my gut feeling was correct, that all these years working on these cases was going to pay off. It was like a load just fell from my shoulders, that finally he's going to get what was coming to him.
But the justice system doesn't pack the kind of wallop Lane Yeomans is hoping for. Because there are 2 different DNA samples in Elaine's case, they don't go forward with a prosecution for her murder.
There you go.
But Carol Layton's case is a slam dunk. In 2004, David Gerard takes another Alford plea. He's given 17 years to run concurrently with the time he's already serving.
it gave us a certain amount of satisfaction because we knew that we had the person that was responsible for Carol Layton's murder. And we believe still that we have the person that's responsible for Elaine McCullum's murder. But you know, knowing something and being able to prove something are always two different things.
It's hard. It's really hard to think that I was 32 years old and I woke up sleeping next to a serial killer. I remember hearing about Ted Bundy, don't get me wrong. But did I actually believe that he truly existed? Probably not. Probably not. After 15 years, I've had a lot of time to think about it. I don't believe it was a fluke thing. I don't think he hurt me just because he could. I think I was sent here to stop him.
David Gerard's picture could be next to the word sociopath in the Webster's dictionary. He was just null and void of a conscience. I do not believe that David Gerard will ever present a threat to our community or any other community for that matter. By the time he walks out of prison, if he ever does, he's going to be a really old man, and he's going to need someone to take care of him, and I don't think he's going to have anybody willing to do so.
In 30 years of dealing with murderers, I've never encountered anyone like him. It's something that I hope I never see again.
Now, Lane Yman can finally make it through a day without seeing a ghost.
When I closed Carol's murder book, the image of Carol disappeared. So I knew that, she'd finally found some peace.